introduce the RISE team. And we have Valerie Bermuda, Sarah Wolf, and we're the presenters tonight. And then we have Diana Gordon and Susan Morse in the back. So also we'll be doing some presentations. We are missing one of our members, but you'll see them for our parent session. And as a reminder, there's one pretty much every month. This is the third Tuesday, every other one's second Tuesday. So if you read that and said, oh, I didn't know, it worked out, okay? So take it away, ladies.
Thank you so much for being here in person, and for those at home, thank you for joining us. We are so excited to be here. Let's see, first slide. Okay, so I just want to read the mission statement that we developed. It says, resources and information for special education empowers parents of diverse learners within the East Stroudsburg Area School District through monthly informational sessions. Our mission is to provide essential resources, foster community support, and promote educational advocacy, ensuring every child receives the support they need to thrive. We are committed to ensuring parents feel supported and empowered through the journey of their child's educational career. Okay, so that's me. I currently work at J.M. Hill. I am a special ed teacher. Right now, fourth grade supplemental learning support, and I love it. It's fantastic. I have my bachelor's in history, my master's is in education. I'm certified in special education, and right now I'm working on my ABA, which is Applied Behavior Analysis certificate over at ESU.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Walsh. I also work at J.M. Hill Elementary School. This year I am third grade learning support. I've been teaching for about 7 to 8 years. This will be my 8th year. My undergrad I was a double major with early childhood and special education. Then I got my master's of science in special education supervision. And as of this past May, I also got a second master's degree to be a principal.
Yeah.
We'll see. We have a couple of topics we want to go over tonight. So number one, we created an IEP binder for the parents. This is a resource. We are highly impressed. They are so nice. It will have all these things in there. As we go through our meeting, we'll explain a little bit more in detail, but that's something that you can bring to every one of our meetings. We'll go over the definition of special education. We will also talk about MTSS and the child study team, permissions and evaluations, classifications with a diagnosis, and the IEP as a working document. Then the last thing we'll cover today is how to start off the school year.
We're gonna move the computer. Thank you so
One
much.
moment.
Thank you. Okay, did everyone get a binder? Everyone's good? Okay. You as you look through it, there's a little pocket. You hold your pen, your highlighter, your little sticky notes, whatever you want to put in there. And if you want to take notes, questions, if you want to jot down questions, we'll have a question section later.
As we go through, if you want to write your questions on a sticky note and stick them wherever, we want to make sure we answer everyone's questions and make sure that you feel informed and supported through this process.
Okay, so the binder. So we've given you this binder to just basically keep all your resources organized. You can use it to store these presentations, any materials that we hand out, the documents that you receive from the RISE program. You'll be also given resources to add to your binder every month. So this is going to be a really great way to stay organized. Contents of the binder will also be posted we'll let you know.
So definitely email. We are working as a collective unit to house those resources somewhere as well. And that would be really beneficial for our members who are meeting with us virtually.
It's best if you bring your binder every month. That would really help.
And we'll be adding to it. Yeah.
So again, the binder is going to include resources to support you through the school year. It includes building contact information, communication logs, which I really love. You could jot down who you're talking to at school just to keep a good running record. And it's a place also to store your child's IEP or any important educational documents. So a suggestion how to use the binder is just to keep all communication that you have with the school, any IEP documents, and any questions that you may have for the IEP team, and to keep notes. I always keep notes for everything. Okay, so this is like the official special ed definition. Special education is a tailored instructional program designed to meet the unique needs of children with disabilities. It provides individualized support and services to help children succeed academically, socially, and emotionally. We take a whole child approach. So we're not just looking at academics, we're looking at behavior, social skills, and their emotional well-being. Under Pennsylvania and federal law, a child with a disability has the right to special ed education and related services. Just some key points for special education. It's an individualized approach. So each child in special ed has an IEP, which is an individualized educational program that outlines their specific needs, their goals, and the services that they are going to receive. Also, specialized instruction. Teachers and specialists use various teaching methods and materials to help your child learn in ways that best suit their abilities and learning styles. So the approach is always strength-based. We work and look at first all of their strengths. And then some children receive related services. That can include speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapist,
vision support.
Yeah, lots of things. So they're entitled to that too if they qualify. Again, it's inclusive. So whenever possible, we're going to have your child in regular general ed setting with their peers. It's also known as mainstreaming. Some other things in special ed, support and accommodations. The program includes accommodations and modifications to the learning environment, curriculum, and assessments to help your child succeed. Some examples are extended time on tests, modified assignments, or use of special equipment. Even like highlighters, like I like to, highlight my stuff. So even, whatever your child needs, we're going to make sure that they get what they need. It's a team approach, and we're just going to make sure that we look at your child and make sure that their needs are met. But the biggest point is legal rights. Special education is governed by laws like the Individuals with Disabilities Act. That's called IDEA. I don't know if anyone's heard of that before, which ensures that children with disabilities have the right to a free and appropriate public education.
We have here procedural safeguards. I'm sure if you are a parent and you have a student currently going through special education, you have piles and piles of these packets at home. So the procedural safeguards, this is the legal protection that you and your children, if they have a exceptionality, this is what you're entitled to. Here are a few examples to go through. So parental consent, of course, you need to be informed and give consent on just about anything that happens within special education. Prior written notice, you're going to be notified. Due process, educational record access. There's really a lot in this packet. We also have participation in meetings. And again, when we are starting this process, if you're going through special education and then at every annual review, you'll be given another copy of your procedural safeguards. Up next, we have MTSS. We have so many acronyms in education. So MTSS is a multi-tiered system of supports. This encompasses RTI, which is response to intervention, and then also the social, emotional, and behavioral supports that the school includes. So MTSS, it's proactive and preventative. It's a framework that includes data and instruction to maximize the student achievement and also include, besides academics, their social emotional development. There are a couple different people that attend the MTSS process. We'll go into that a little bit more. It is in coordination with our child study team. And I do want to note that MTSS is not special education. It is supports for everyone in the building. So there are a few tiers of MTSS. Sometimes this picture here looks like a pyramid. When I was learning the different tiers of MTSS, I really like to look at it like upside down, like a funnel. So tier 1 at the top is everyone, supports that are provided to all students. We're being proactive, making sure they have the supports they need. Tier 2, we have small group interventions. We have supports through the reading department. I know in our building, we have a win time, which is what I need, similar to a response to intervention. That's a time that I can speak so highly of our program. The students are groups and they focus right on those skills that they need. And then tier 3 is very specific individualized supports. And then I talked about this being a funnel. If tier 1, 2, and 3 is still not providing enough support for your student, they would then go to be discussed to qualify for special education or the testing, being tested. You click to the next. Okay, child study team. So the child study team in every building is made up of a few different people. So you have an administrator, the guidance counselor, we have an MTSS coordinator, there's general education teachers, a whole bunch of people come together and they look at data. We determine if the supports through tier 1, 2, and 3 are being effective. Is your student gaining anything from this? Do we need to do more, change what we're doing, reduce support? It is a collaborative effort to make sure that, again, the students are receiving the support that they need to be successful. Next, we have this little picture here. At the center of all decisions is data. Every decision has to be based off of data. We make informed decisions. We look at progress monitoring, screening, how the students are doing in the multi-tiered system of supports, how their social emotional development is. So all decisions really go back to being informed using data.
So before we start the permission to evaluate or reevaluate, does anybody have any questions at this point? I know that this is a lot of information and we have time to dig deeper and to answer any questions that anyone may have right now.
Does anyone have experience working with MTSS? If you have a student in school, are you aware of those supports? Have you heard from the child study team?
It's amazing. I can, again, speak only for JM Hill, which is literally up the block. It's an amazing school. I love that it's so old, but it's really a family. And I'm pretty new to the district and to that school, and everything is like systematic. There's a system in place to make sure that everything is, all the needs are met for each child. It's an individualized approach. And, you know, that's a great school. The whole school district, I'm sure, is fantastic, but JM Hill is really good. I'm so excited to see how many people are online. Did you see that?
I did.
That's amazing. Anyone here have any questions?
How long does it take for that process?
That's a great question. The amount of time can vary based on if the student is experiencing success at each level. So it could be a couple months, it could be the school year, but that data is tracked. And if that process was started closer to the end of the school year, we will hold that information and then the team will reconvene at the beginning of the school year. We will get some data points, see how much of the skills from last year have been retained, and then assess them.
I see someone is raising their hand online.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for
Hello.
joining.
I was a little late coming in, so I don't know if you touched on this or not already. Did you, for the people that were actually present there in person, were they given a packet of what you're going through right now?
No, we have the PowerPoint, but we'll get that packet out to them via after the meeting.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is that going to be sent to the other parents like myself who was not able to make it in person today?
Yes, all resources will be shared.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. That was my only question.
Great
And
question.
within the next minute, you will receive that resource.
Great, thank you.
Maybe.
Good afternoon. My name is Pilar. I had a question regarding the MTSS. It's the first time I've ever heard it.
Okay.
So just wondering how I was listening briefly. I also joined a little late. Can you just explain it to me a little bit?
Yeah, so MTSS is a multi-tiered system of supports. Within every building, there are supports for academics, of course. There's always been such a drive for academic support, but over the last couple of years, MTSS has been created, and it also encompasses social emotional development. We have school-wide positive programs, like for instance, at our school, since we are colleagues at the same building, we have monthly, how would you describe, monthly events to support our school-wide initiative of all the students meeting the Hill Way, which is helping others, improving yourself, living responsibly and respectfully. And that is part of our school-wide initiative and MTSS. So I guess to answer your question, it has supports for academics and also social emotional development.
Did that answer your question?
I can go over the tiers a little bit.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hi, Jillian. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you. I actually have two children in this Bushkill Elementary, and the process has been very smooth. And as far as the principal, the child psychologist group, the special education educators, I think that any new parent who is not used to this, I do wish them the best of successes I've had at Bushkill Elementary.
That is so great to hear.
Thank you so much. That just warmed my heart. We want everyone to have a positive experience and feel like they are supported along with their children.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Anyone else online?
I think to piggyback off of that, everything we do is such a team effort. So no decisions can be made based off of one person. We have to have everyone work together. That could be, of course, number one person, parent. We like to include the students sometimes in those processes as well, making decisions. You have the special education teacher, if that's appropriate, your general education teacher, guidance counselor, the MTSS coordinator. That's like in our building, I call her the queen of data. If you need it, data in a chart, whatever color, she has it all made. I'm sure that's the same for every building. But really, the whole
Right. It's a whole team
Whole team.
approach, and it's almost like a team of experts. Everyone has a different role. Also the psychologist who writes these evaluation reports. It's just really collaborative and team driven and right, every decision is made by the team. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. Any other questions? Well, again, thank you for joining us from home. We appreciate it.
Thank you also to everyone for giving us a little grace. This is our
First
first
one.
attempt, so we are learning.
Are we good online? No other questions right at this moment? Okay, we'll get back to it. Okay. Okay, so we are going to dig into the permission to evaluate and reevaluate.
So after all of the MTSS process, if that was not enough support, we can look at the permission to evaluate. There's a couple different ways to get to that point. So like I said, if tiered supports did not provide enough for your student to be successful, we could come together with the child study team to determine if the recommendation should be made for special education testing. Also, parents have their right to request testing. I do want to say that you have the opportunity to meet with the school, meet with the teachers, MTSS, this child study team, meet as a collective unit, and we can help make that decision if you need any support. So the permission to evaluate, again, here's another acronym, PTE. Everything has that acronym. It is a permission to obtain parental permission to evaluate a child in order to determine their eligibility and need for special education. So once a parent does sign the PTE, we will initiate the evaluation process. That's like hitting the go button. So that process, you have 60 calendar days. Within that time, the team will come together and do all sorts of assessments, and those assessments won't be a surprise. It will be listed on the permission. We have classroom observation, teacher, parent input, all sorts of things will be listed. And then also, if a parent does make the official request for evaluation, there is a process that goes along with that. They have a form to sign, and then within 10 days, we will get that ball rolling with issuing a permission.
So this is literally, we just took a little snapshot of the actual form just so that you can see what it looks like. So you have many options as a parent. You can schedule a meeting informally and discuss with your team what's going on. You can consent to the evaluation, or you could not give consent. It's really up to you as the parent. So this is what we would send home, and you document what you'd like for us to do. But again, you can have an informal meeting, we can go to mediation, do process hearing, but we like to, get there in the beginning and get together and talk about concerns, issues, questions, and everything is paperwork, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything by book and properly.
And like Valerie had said before we move on, this is a screenshot of a permission. So it is our hope to include as many real things that you'll be experiencing. So if you do have this document, it's nice to see it beforehand to know what that is, what to expect. Sometimes, I know from my experience, you get these forums and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? You might check the wrong box. I know from my side, the teacher.
That just happened to me.
Calling like, did you mean to check this box? And that's a conversation. So there's a lot of boxes to be checked, initials, all those things. So I'd like to continue including little screenshots of the actual paperwork so you know what that looks like.
And just something that popped into my head, it's just so important to build relationships with your families. I'm saying as an educator, I love talking to families. That's my favorite things to do. So it's okay. So, building those connections and make positive relationships, collaborating, just building that sense of team. So when, things like this happen and mistakes are made, I've made mistakes this week a few times. So it's easy to, just call, email, a parent, dojo a parent and say, hey, I made a mistake. Or did you mean to check that box, and just have that comfortable conversation? No stress.
I think that's important to, like you just said, be comfortable, making sure you have that relationship with the people at school. Don't be afraid to call for Dojo. If anyone's familiar with Dojo, I personally think it's like the easiest thing. I'm our Dojo mentor for our building, and it's just free app. Get on there. The majority of teachers have their own page. Special ed teachers have their page. You can collaborate. Related service providers can be on there. The school posts information. So that's an easy way of sending a quick message, checking in from the day, if there's any information you need to know, just staying connected and forming that comfortable relationship.
And what's really great about Dojo, anyone here on Dojo?
Look at these hands. Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
Everyone join
Anyone at home
Dojo.
from Dojo? What I love about Dojo, me personally, is that it's a running record. So, so it's like a great communication log. You can print them. It's just, I think, a great tool to use to stay connected. So I love it. I think it's great. Any questions at this point? No? Okay.
So we discussed the permission to evaluate. There's also the permission to re-evaluate, which is the PTRE. So this is for students who are already in special education. And some people ask, I know the parents of my students are frequently asked, when is my child reevaluated? What's that going to look like? So typically students are reevaluated every 3 years. If a student is intellectually disabled, that's every 2 years. And everything that will be conducted in that reevaluation will be included. So you'll be informed on everything that's going to happen. There'll be nothing that happens that you are not aware of.
And what I like about this is, since they're already part of special education, like I just had to send out my own permission recently, and you meet with the team, you talk to the team. Do you want like a speech therapist or the occupational therapist or the physical therapist? And you ask, do you want to, reevaluate the student? And it's, again, even at the beginning, before the even permission is sent out, it's a team approach. We're asking everyone involved, related services, what direction we're going to move in. So it's great.
I can personally get excited about a reevaluation, the process more so than paperwork side of things. So if you've seen these, they are a little bit long, but they're all encompassing. There's so much on there. I think it's such an opportunity to see the success that our students have had over the years, especially if you've had the IEP for 3 years. You have 3 years of beautiful data to show how much you've truly been supported and succeeded over that amount of time. And as Valerie had said, there are so many factors that go into this. There's so many people that collaborate. If maybe we have supports that need a little tweaking, we can come back together to see and discuss, is there something that we could be doing better? Could we do something more? Can we reduce this? It's a lot of finding what works and then rolling with it and then continuing to add to what we already have going if it's being successful. And with the reevaluation, that is an opportunity to adjust services or placement if necessary. So after you have given your consent to a evaluation or reevaluation, we have some information about reevals. So a really important part of a reevaluation is to determine if your student still qualifies for special education and the services that are provided through that. It determines if a child's needs have changed. It gives us a firm yes or no if what we're doing is being successful or not. And then also the reevaluation or evaluation guides decisions. As I said, data guides every decision. And that helps us with progress monitoring, determining the appropriate placement, potential transitions, and also the transition out of special education. That would be determined through a reevaluation as well.
Does anyone have questions at this point? Does anyone want to take a break and get up, move around?
That is an amazing question. So it is a state mandate. You have to reevaluate every 3 years, and you have to reevaluate every 2 years if a student has an intellectual disability. That is something that we can discuss with the team if that needs to be conducted sooner.
Parent has the right to ask for a reevaluation as well.
For those of you who did not hear, the parent does have the right to request a reevaluation.
Okay, my turn. Anyone online before we get into how does a child qualify for special ed? Does anyone online have any questions at this point? We just want to check the chat real quick.
The evaluation and reevaluation process is huge. There is so much that goes into it. It is a 60-day process. There's a classroom observation. I know this is in here somewhere, but if we are going to talk about it really quick as we wait for some questions, there are so many things. As I said, parent and teacher input from specialists, a classroom observation, testing, and that is depending on need. There could be a educational evaluation, an evaluation for the need of a related service like speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, vision support. All those things are added into that evaluation.
Okay, so how does a child qualify for special education? So like Sarah said, the first thing is the evaluation. That pretty much drives everything, that evaluation. So the process begins with a comprehensive evaluation to determine if your child has a disability or not. So again, it's very systematic. There's a perfect little beautiful system in place that we go step by step. So first is the evaluation. Then that lets us know if your child is eligible. So based on the evaluation, a team of educators and specialists, along with the parents, again, team approach, determine if the child is eligible for special education services. If yes, we start working on developing the IEP, which is the individualized educational, I wanted to say plan, but that's not right. Program, IEP. So we start working then on the IEP, and the IEP is beautiful because it will include everything. It'll include where your child is present. So we call it present educational levels, academic, their functional needs. We start looking at, we include testing, information from the psychologist, write goals, see what goals are, and just a lot of good stuff in there. So if your child is eligible, an IEP is created outlining the child's special needs, goals, and the services that they'll receive. So again, like speech therapy, OT, occupational therapy, PT, just whatever they may need.
At the very end of the evaluation or reevaluation, it will say a primary and a secondary disability if that is needed. So it will state right on there, example, based on this testing that was conducted by their name, school psychologist on whatever date, your child qualifies for special education as a student with a specific learning disability maybe they also have a disability with speech that would be listed. There'll be recommendations for the team, recommendations for the parent. And based on that information, we can develop the IEP and make sure that the SDIs, their acronym there, as your especially designed supports. So they are correct and in there and really individualized.
So it's a legal document and it has all your child's information in there of like what's going on right now currently. Okay, so this list is the special education classifications. There's 13 classifications. They're all listed. The ones that we see the most, other health impairments, specific learning disability, we see autism. We can see any of them, speech and language impairments, intellectual disability. So these are the 13 classifications that you'll see on evaluation. It'll be included in your child's IEP.
And there could be more than one. You can fall into more than one category.
Any questions right now? No? Okay. We'll take a break like right after this next part. So the next part is the role of a medical diagnosis. So sometimes, a child has a medical diagnosis and, that information is important because it informs the IEP. It provides really good, important information just to make sure that your child's educational needs are being met appropriately. Again, collaboration. School often collaborates with healthcare providers to understand the child's condition and implement necessary accommodations and services. So if a child has like hearing impaired or deaf blindness, we reach out to the medical team just to make sure that everything is in place that your child needs. Eligibility for services, medical diagnosis can help determine eligibility for special ed services under the Individuals with Disabilities Educational Act IDEA, which is that your child is federally protected if they qualify for special education.
And with this, it doesn't have to be a huge medical diagnosis. I have some students that have asthma or maybe an allergy, if that's really something that needs to be addressed, that can be added into an individualized health plan, and that could be a support.
I think right now would be a good time to take a break. How does everyone feel? Or do you want to ask any more questions right now? Anyone online have any questions? Again, thank you for joining us.
There are some really nice snacks over here.
Okay, no questions at this time? Anyone here? No? Okay, so we're gonna take a break right now.
Let's do like a 5-minute breather and then maybe
We'll reconvene in 5 minutes.
have a couple conversations, get to know each other a little bit more. That's still on. As if whispered.
Thank you. So this is like what we do at school. Everybody get up, move your body. Let's move around. It's good for your brain. Oh, really? before we begin, does anyone have any questions at this point online? Or here in person?
Think about what we've been talking about, doing that information for a little bit. I was just talking to Valerie, I'm really interested in everyone here, everyone attending online. If I could ask, anyone have a student who's currently experiencing the special education process? Or are we here for information to know as we move forward? Kind of seeing where everyone is in their current knowledge of IEPs and special education and your interest today.
Thank you.
It is on now. So what I just said, I'm interested in everyone's reason for being here, of course, to come together as a team, to gain more information, make sure that you're more informed. But I was interested in everyone's standing currently, if we can help in a more in-depth way. Would that be appropriate to ask? Do a little poll online? Ask her. Is that okay? If like there's like a little raise hand button, if you're already in the process or an actual poll. Impressive. So are you or your student currently in the special education process? So do you have an IEP? Is that where you are? Or is this information you are gaining for future reference?
Hi. I'm so sorry. I was raising my hand.
Thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to say that the chat is disabled, so we're not able to put anything inside there.
Oh, I'm so sorry. And thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna skip the poll. I don't know if it would work if the chat's disabled. Thank you so much for letting us know. Thank you for those who raised their hands. It just lets us know.
And of course, you do not have to answer that.
No.
You don't answer. You don't have to. I was just curious. Thank you.
My son's doing the MTSS.
Great.
Okay, so you're like gaining information about maybe where the future might take him?
Okay. I have two questions. Thank you so much. Okay, so the first question, why is there not enough guidance counselors to access students for support? That's a great question. That's a great question. I'm not really sure how many openings there are right now. I'm not really sure.
This might be a everyone question.
So do you want me to repeat the question? Okay, so again, the question is, why is there not enough guidance counselors to access students for support?
So I can add every building has at least one guidance counselor. Sometimes there are two guidance counselors. My knowledge is solely at the elementary level. We have two guidance counselors with us, and that is a resource. It's another person to offer support throughout the day and a member of our team. But if you are a guidance counselor and want to join the ESASD team, maybe add that in.
Is there anything that the person who asked this question, is there anything like a follow-up question with this?
Well, since you only have one guidance counselor per student, let's say, especially in the elementary.
We have two at JM Hill.
Let's say one gets torn to another school, so you're splitting your guidance counselor. How are you gonna rectify that, and how are you gonna, the kids gonna have, how are you gonna have the kids assessed for support if you only have a part-time guidance counselor in a school?
So we, no matter what, always have one person
Yeah, but that's your school.
that is.
Now, how do you rectify that for?
It's okay.
This is an amazing question, which we will further investigate. So we, thank you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it is common for even psychologists to split between different schools. It just happens, yeah. Okay, the second question, how often does the team contact parents?
Ooh,
Which is a great question. I know myself, I'll just speak for myself. I really love contacting the parents. So maybe a couple of times a week, I send spelling home, I send vocab home, just so that the parents know what's going on. So if they see a grade, I don't want them to be surprised. So I like to always keep the parents part of what we're doing in class, because I hear from parents, Johnny said, no, you're not doing anything in school. So I always invite parents to contact me if they have any questions or concerns. I will call parents. I'll ask parents, what do you prefer? Do you want me to dojo you, email you, call you? So everyone has a preference, but I like to contact the parents at least once a week, sometimes more, depending on what the need is.
I think at the beginning of the school year, there's a lot of opportunities to establish your preferred method of communication. I know when a couple of my parents came to open house, I had my flyers for class dojo. If you are a dojo person, really easy on there, email, in-person meetings. And I think out of the IEP team, you have some real main points of contact. I think the special education teacher, that's your person. The general education teacher, they see the students every day. So do we. In my class, I do operate everything dojo. I make a call at least twice a week. I have in-person meetings. I see people in person, and I do make a point to contact everyone's family at least once a week.
And the opportunities to come into the school and have some kind of discussion, that can happen anytime. You can, contact your teacher, special ed teacher, and say that you want to have a meeting. We're always happy to. I'll speak for myself. I love meeting with parents. I love when they come in. Sometimes, IEP meetings have to be done virtually, which we understand. But I got to tell you, I really love in-person IEP meetings, because you get like a really good sense of, you make connections, and you're building bridges and positive relationships, I feel. So maybe, sorry about that.
So I think we can hold some questions until we go through a couple more slides. The next couple of slides, what is an IEP? I have some really good information in here.
Thank you. Okay, so what is an IEP? So children who qualify for special ed services have an individualized educational program. That's an IEP. An IEP is a legally binding document that outlines the special education services and supports a child with disabilities. It outlines the supports that they're going to receive at school. It's designed to help the child succeed academically and develop other important skills. So legally binding, that's important. So it is an important document. Again, the IEP process, it's systematic. There's step by step. So the first one is a referral and the evaluation. A child is referred for an evaluation to determine if they qualify, if they have a disability for special ed services. The IEP then comes together. The IEP team includes the parents, the teachers, the special ed teacher, the case manager, guidance, psychologist, specialist, to meet to develop the IEP. The team discusses the child's needs, sets goals, and determines services required. So again, it's a really beautiful team approach. It's really based on collaboration and, you know, it's ongoing. The conversation is ongoing throughout the school year. And well, we'll get into revisions, but an IEP can change if circumstances change. Then we create the IEP, and then once the team agrees on placement and all the services, we then implement it. So then the school provides the services and supports outlined in the IEP. I know with me, once we have an IEP and it's completed, we make sure that any person in the building, you know, like specials like gym and music and the art teacher, we make sure that everyone gets the supports that that child is getting, just to make sure that everyone is aware what needs to happen. Number 4 says review and update. The IEP is reviewed at least once a year. To update goals, discuss where they are presently, educational, academically, functionally, and parents can request a meeting again anytime to discuss concerns or changes, or just to talk, get updates. Anyone have a question on that? I know we can dig really, really deep into this, and I think one of our other meetings, they're going to really go into what an IEP
I believe
is.
our next meeting, the whole focus is looking at that IEP and seeing what's in there, and every section has a purpose, and we'll go through that together. So when and if you do see an IEP, you will know what you're looking at and be able to work our way through that.
Okay. So the IEP team.
So again, we've said it many times, everything's a collaboration. There are specific people that attend IEP meetings that are on that IEP team. So parent, we do whatever we can to make sure that parent can attend. There is an LEA, usually a building administrator. There's a general education teacher, a special education teacher, and any related services such as occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech.
Has anyone here, and you don't have to share, but has anyone ever had an IEP meeting? Yeah. I was just curious.
And the IEP team,
oh, we
It
send
is.
out input forms
mhm.
for the parents to, you know, share information. So that's something that's also included into the IEP. So your role as a parent, communication is key. Just be sure to actively communicate with the IEP team regularly. Good idea is to communicate with the general ed teacher, the special ed teacher, that may be a case manager, anyone who is part of the team. I really believe, again, in communication. This is a team approach. And to be active, ask questions, you know, discuss your child, share information. It's great. And advocate, ensure your child's needs are being met, that the school is providing the agreed upon services. Be familiar with your child's IEPs, what their goals are, where they are presently, what the goal is, what the objective is for a year from now, when that IEP finishes. And we progress monitor the goals. So every quarter, we send out progress reports and report cards. So you're getting lots of information every quarter. We just wrote, the best thing you can do for a child is to believe in them. And we believe in your children in the classroom. And I love working with them. It's such a pleasure every day to see their faces. Our next slide just says, how long does an IEP last? So from that meeting date, it's a year minus a date. An IEP revision can happen at any time.
And what that is, if your IEP starts in October, it will be like a year from then. So it's not, if you start third grade, you have an IEP meeting, you start fourth grade, you have an IEP meeting, it's just 1 year from that meeting. And again, as Valerie said, revisions can happen at parents' request or if a need has come to light. So the process of an IEP revision, just like having an IEP meeting, we send out an invitation, parents accept, we can come together in your preferred format if you like in person, virtual, and these happen to make changes to the IEP to make sure we are properly servicing the students. If their need has changed, we can update the documents, adjust goals, add any sort of accommodations. Any questions so far with those things?
No.
And then our last part of our presentation here is just how to start the year off right. We did speak a lot about forming that connection with your child's teacher. I think as a teacher, I really, really value that, having that open line of communication and feeling comfortable to relay information, ask information, and just be a team.
I know for me, the first few weeks, I love building the connections with the students. So, it's building those good relationships, not only with the families, but with the students in the classroom. So it's been a great start to the new school year.
Another little trick and tip, establishing a routine, sometimes with homework. I know my students occasionally will relay that there's no homework or we didn't do this or that. That's just double check with the teacher.
Yeah.
Quick message to confirm that there's no homework ever.
Yeah. So there's some opportunities, throughout the year, like open house just for us was last week, the week before it, whenever the 5th was.
Happened.
And, that's always a great way to, get into the building, see your child's classroom, meet your teachers.
Parent-teacher conferences.
Conferences in November, the week of Thanksgiving.
Again in the spring.
In the spring, yep, for a second. But again, you can schedule meetings anytime with your team at school, anytime. You could discuss, use phone, dojo, email, but we welcome, parents to come in and, have those informal meetings if that's what they need. So, yeah.
So that is our last informative slide. The last one. Thanks. Thanks you for coming today. Thank you for bearing with us as we are learning as a team how to use these resources, this fancy microphone, and how to best share information with everyone. We do have another meeting coming up in October.
Yep, October 8th. So going forward, it's going to be the second Tuesday of every month. We have one scheduled in December also. That may be virtually, but we'll keep everyone posted.
And we do have, I believe, 5 members of our team, so you won't hear the same person over and over and over again. We'll have a little mix of group adapters.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We wanted to thank everyone online as well as everyone that's here in person with us. We really hope to continue to build these wonderful relationships with our families, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you ever have any questions going forward. Thank you so much and have a wonderful night. Thank you.